Good day, everybody, and it's a good time to talk about the James Degale Chris Eubank Jr. fight. Just before it happens, 23rd of February, so we're just under a month out, closing in on 3 weeks until the highly anticipated event. And of course, this is a domestic tear-up. Why do we like domestic tear-ups? They always create much more hype. You got two guys from England that want to do damage on each other. Of course, there's been a rivalry since about 2011 when, that infamous sparring session between James Degale and Chris Eubank Jr. Of course, Eubank Jr. wasn't an accomplished amateur, and James Degale was, so he obviously had a lot more experience back in 2011 when they fought. However, this sparring session still, people are still talking about it. Scheduled for 8-round sparring session. After 6 rounds, Chris Eubank got out the ring and said, "Nah, it's okay, it's still done." Then James Degale got back into the ring. Afterwards did a little bit of a pad session with his trainer, and then all of a sudden, Chris Eubank Jr. decided to go shadow box between them, disrespectfully in my eyes as well. So there's a lot of hype behind this fight just from the mere fact that there's been a sparring session between these two, which James Degale possibly got the better of. I can't really say, but considering everything, you probably guess that Degale did get the upper hand. And of course, Chris Eubank Jr. obviously has a lot to prove. They have common opponents in the form of George Groves, so it'll be nice to see that fight. Of course, the favorite going into that fight has to be James Degale. So yeah, man, British blockbuster, cannot wait. Obviously, the Premier Boxing Championship (PBC) will be broadcasting this alongside Pox and Sports, who are the promoters. And yeah, man, so this is such a big fight for England. This is a big domestic scrap, as we would say in South Africa, domestic scrap. But it's a big domestic fight. For both guys. Of course, the main event is obviously supported by the Commonwealth Heavyweight Champion Joe Joyce, and we'll talk about Joyce another time because he's obviously going to take on former World Champion Bermane Stiverne, who is the only man to take Deontay Wilder the distance. Never mind the second fight where he got blown away in a round. He took Deontay Wilder the distance in the first fight. So yeah, a big fight coming up between these two. Cannot wait for the beef to be settled. I am leaning towards James Degale purely on the fact that he is, in my mind, a better boxer and a more accomplished amateur. And they've got very similar professional records, but of course, I think that I don't know. I just give the edge to James Degale. He's keeping it, he's keeping it real. He obviously has a bit of mental edge over Chris Eubank Jr. I think, obviously claiming that he schooled him. But who knows? Who knows when it comes down to it? You don't want to write off Chris Eubank. I think he's a fantastic fighter in his own right. Of course, not having an amateur background is a difficult thing, and to do what he's done so far in his career is absolutely exceptional. So, in all that I've said, obviously ITV is going to be covering all the background and the story leading up to the fight, so please keep an eye out for that. It'll be very interesting to see the jabs, and when I say jabs, I mean verbal jabs. And then in the ring, they'll actually throw jabs, but the verbal jabs before the fight. It's very interesting to see when two British guys come up against each other. Both guys err on the side of arrogance. So let's see how it goes. Alright, and then leave your prediction down below. Who do you think is going to win between James Degale and Chris Eubank Jr. from what you've seen of their careers? Alright, cheers. Thank you very much for listening.